Hey guys, what's up? Welcome at last to my PS Vita Hidden Gems video, the one you've all been waiting for, including me. So today I'm going to talk about 10 games that are not that mainstream, some of them are really hidden, but regardless of that, they're all great games. And some of them are from your recommendations from when I made that video about the PS Vita, from when I first got it. So thank you guys for that, and let's begin! Number 10. Ace Origin. Yeah, we all know the Ace games on the Vita and the PS4 have been great, considering they are a part of a franchise that wasn't very well known until very recently, as a matter of fact. But what about Ace Origin? It seems not many gamers knew about it and completely ignored it. Perhaps only Ace fans are actually aware of it. It's supposed to be the prequel to the entire franchise, hence the name Origin, taking place 700 years before the first Ace game, so it's the only one in which you don't play as adult Christian, the main guy in every single Ace title. It originally came out for PC in 2006, later translated for Steam by Exceed Games in 2012, but the Vita and the PS4 release happened only last year, so maybe it needs a little more time to succeed. It may not be as good as the others, I am aware of that, but it is still one heck of a great game. Probably one of the best in this entire list, but it stays in number 10 because, although being one of the least known titles of the franchise, it's still not that hidden as others, thankfully. Number 9. Grand Kingdom. This game was very mainstream and well known when it first came out over 2 years ago, and everyone was hyped up for it. But today, it's like the game has been completely forgotten. It was released for the PS4 and the PS Vita, and although being one of those quest-driven games with a tactical battle system that is very unique for its time, it's like no one gives a damn about it anymore. Perhaps this game shouldn't be a hidden gem, but rather a forgotten game? Well, it's time to make you remember because it's also fantastic. Far superior in my opinion to its spiritual predecessor called Grand Knight's History for the PSP, which never came out of Japan. That one was developed by Vanillaware actually, probably being the reason why everyone thought at first that Grand Kingdom was made by them as well. But nope, it's just that the director of Grand Knight's History quit Vanillaware and then founded Monochrome Corporation to make this game. So there you go, a not that hidden gem, probably forgotten, but great nonetheless. Number 8. Summon Night 6 Lost Borders. The Summon Night series has always been quite underground, especially since most of its main titles have never been released outside Japan. All we got was 3 spin-offs, 2 for the Game Boy Advance and 1 for the Nintendo DS at first. It wasn't until the end of 2015 when Gigant Works, whose director was the guy behind famous defunct company Working Designs, localized the 5th game for the PSP, digitally at least. Only a handful of people know that, of course, since the PSP was already dead when Summon Night 5 was released. But then came along this one right here, also released for the PS4, less than 1 year ago. It turned gamers slightly more interested in the series. And Summon Night 6, developed by the creators of the Wild Arms series, is a crossover, however, of all the main entries turned into a strategy RPG with a very neat battle system, perfect for newcomers to the subgenre. The story is obviously very silly since it's a crossover, and you might not understand anything about it unless you've played some of the other main titles, but leaving that aside, it's a pretty decent game. Just mute the damn English voice acting when you play it. It's terrible. Number 7. Ragnar Odyssey Ace. Yeah, well, I've talked about this game quite a few times in other videos, especially on the Hidden Gems one for the PS3. So I'm back again to praise it even more because it's just one of those action RPGs with a very addictive battle system. Other than that, it's nothing special, I know, being a quest-driven game with almost no character development and a somewhat generic story. You see, the point of this game was to encourage gamers to play it online or locally in a multiplayer mode, so they can battle together in this Norse mythology world from the original MMORPG Ragnarok Online. As a spin-off of that game, it should have made a lot of noise, right? But alas, it did not. Many gamers overlooked it and probably kept ignoring it for years. So I'm here to attempt to change that and tell you guys this game is awesome and that if you're into action, hack and slash RPGs, this one, my friends, is a total must. Number 6. Mind Zero. Mind Zero is a Persona wannabe turned into a first-person dungeon crawler RPG in which your high school characters have the ability to summon a monster named Mind. I compare it to Persona, specifically to the third and the fourth games, because everything just seems highly influenced by them. Some of the Persona 4 voice actors are actually behind the same stereotyped characters as if they were reprising their roles all over again. Regardless of the constant comparisons this game has, you could say it's a Persona wannabe. Very well done. It's not the game of the year, obviously, and it's far from being as good as the Persona titles, but it's pretty good nonetheless, and I thought I would include it because not too many gamers are familiar with it. Wanna know who did it? Acquire, the same company behind the already popular Octopath Traveler, and Zero Div, the guys behind the Class of Heroes games for the PSP. So yeah, check it out. Number 5. Gigant. This was one of the very first games you guys recommended to me when I did my first PS Vita video, so I played it only to experience the biggest disappointment ever. Nah, I'm just kidding. It's a great game. Again, I'm talking about a first-person dungeon crawler RPG with a very peculiar battle system. As you saw, you manage 3 characters whom you give different commands to battle the enemies. But engaging the boss battles here is the true fun within the game. Once you get into this raging battle mode, you go into a rhythm game to press the buttons at the correct time in order to cause major damage to the bosses. I thought that was really awesome. It also has a very addicting leveling up system that involves the creation of weapons and armor. Other than that, it plays a little bit like a visual novel, but it's still an RPG through and through. So give it a chance if you can. Number 4. Are No Swords Ode to an Unborn Star. For those who don't know, it's the prequel to the R. Tonelico games, and it obviously plays very similar to them. You're this dude and there's girls that let you dive into their minds to a highly substantial sexualized context that's always been one of the major points of the R. Tonelico franchise. However, there's 2 things to notice, one positive and one negative. The positive one is that the battle system is slightly different from previous entries. In here, you only have your protagonist fighting against consecutive hordes of enemies to create different combos and build up the powerful song magic. I thought that was really cool, actually. The negative thing is that, well, this game is supposed to be a sequel to another one called Ciel No Surge, which never came out of Japan. So yeah, you'll be trying to figure out what the hell happened in the first one as you play R. No Surge Ode to an Unborn Star. But hey, this Vita version is the Plus version, so it's an update to the original one for the PS3. Just so you know. Number 3. Trillian God of Destruction. Compile Heart is a subsidiary of famous company Idea Factory, the guys behind the Spectral Force and Generation of Chaos series, along with a whole bunch of visual novels. Heart developed the Hyperdimension Neptunia games, so I don't think I need to explain any further. Turns out this company, along with some members who worked on the Disgaea series, made Trillian God of Destruction, A highly, and I mean highly addictive game in which you play as the great overlord training his female subordinates in order to battle, well, Trillian, who's, well, the god of destruction. So yep, the story is a little bit silly and so are the stereotyped characters, but the gameplay? Man, it's great. It plays like a roguelike RPG when you're in battle, but the main course of it all is to do all sorts of training and customization of your heroines before their final confrontation with Trillian. So I highly recommend this excellent RPG, if only because of the gameplay. Trust me, it's very fun. Number 2. Exist Archive, The Other Side of the Sky. Also released for the PS4, this game is developed by Tri-Ace, a game that many will call as a spiritual successor to the Valkyrie Profile games, even though those were in an ancient mythological setting with a more adult cast. Exist Archive now plays in a science fiction world with your average and stereotyped high school cast, but despite that, the story is really interesting. The battle system, as you're about to see right now, plays very similar to the first two Valkyrie Profile games, with each button assigned to each character being able to use action points in a limited bar. So it's a turn-based RPG, of course, with some new elements that we never saw in the Valkyrie series, like the guard phase for example. It also plays like a side-scrolling adventure, so I understand why many people will consider this game as a spiritual successor, although not being connected in any way whatsoever to the Valkyrie series. Great game, great story and gameplay, so totally recommended. Number 1. Lost Dimension. At last we arrive at the one game that I favored highly among all the others in this list. You know I love my strategy RPGs, and with something as creative as this, it was predictable. It's a game also released for the PS3 and PC, with a very interesting cast of characters and a thrilling story full of mystery. Here you're supposed to determine each of your allies' fate by deciding who's a traitor and who's not during every chapter of the game. So yes, you get to choose who dies and who stays with you, fighting by your side. It plays similar to Arc the Lad 4, with characters moving within a certain circular area to then execute their actions, combining elements from the Valkyria Chronicles games. It's science fiction as well, so that only makes it the more interesting. With a moderate difficulty and a lot of moral choices within the storyline, Lost Dimension is a game that all RP gamers should play, regardless if they like strategy titles or not, because it just has so much to offer and so many interesting ideas merged into one. Definitely recommended, and definitely the best hidden gem in the entire list. That's it guys, that's my video, thanks for watching. Don't forget there's going to be a part 2 and probably a part 3, because the Vita is just full of hidden gems. I know, right? So look forward to my part 2, which will be probably in a couple of months, in which I probably show 10 more great games and hidden gems. Thanks for watching, don't forget to subscribe and share this video with your friends. See you next time!